What's up, YouTube? It's Mike here, back with another video. Today's video is a continuation of building the new 1,500 gallon plywood aquarium. In the last video, we built the back wall and stood it up, got an idea of how big this thing's really gonna be. And in this video, I've gotten a lot more done in the past week, so I'm gonna take you back through all of the progress I've made in the past week. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell so you can follow along with this build. I appreciate all the comments and the likes also. So without further ado, let's get into it, and we will go back in time a little bit to building the 1,500 gallon part 2. So what I'm doing here is I'm laying out the footprint so I can establish what my angle is going to be here. The way I'm doing that is, first off, I found the center of my front wall and the center of my back wall, and I marked them. And then I offset evenly the front wall and the back wall, the 4 feet that I want in the middle. So this front wall right now is exactly 12 feet long, but it won't be 12 feet long when we're finished. I really just need to make sure that it's long enough to accommodate the 8-foot piece of glass. So I marked out the 8 feet, so 4 feet from the center each way, down to here, and to here, to give myself an idea of the glass width and how much room I need on each side of the glass for framing and to lock in the walls. So now I'm going to establish this angle by best fitting 50 inches into each side. So I'll kind of give you an idea of how I'm going to do that. It's really just going to be me playing, shifting it around, playing with it until I make sure that I have the right length here and the right length here to accommodate the width of both windows. I'm back. I had to do a little bit of thinking and a little bit of shifting this around here and there to get an idea of what this needs to be. I had to think a lot about my measurements of my glass, so this will all work properly before I start actually making cuts here. I don't want to waste anything. So the way I ended up making it work, let's get back here so I can show you. I picked a side wall distance, so basically the width of my wall here. I just chose a straight 6 inches just to make it easy on myself. So I held that corner at 6 inches. And then, as I showed you guys before, I measured out my glass. This is to 48 here. And then I'll have 2 posts taking up some of the glass. So I wanted to make sure I could fit those in. So I held this front corner here for my angle. And then what I'm concerned about is the measurement from this intersection to this intersection to make sure I have enough room not only for the 48-inch wide piece of glass, but a little extra on each side. And with this particular setup, I do have enough. I actually have an extra 4 inches, which is great because I needed at least an extra 3 inches. So I got an inch more than I was hoping for. That is what she said. And this will work really nice. So I like it. And I'll take a step back again real quick. It feels small to me, not gonna lie. I mean, it's gonna be taller than the 1100, but this feels small. I don't know. My only concern is it is going to be a little bit, I wish I could go wider, but it's just going to be so uncomfortable to go wider. Anyway, I'm going to move forward with this plan, and as you guys are going to see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlap the corners for strength purposes, and it's something I considered on one of my first sketches in AutoCAD, and then I kind of blew it off, said, it's unnecessary, it'll just make this more complicated. And then a buddy of mine who's built a tank before, he built a really big tank, he built a 2000, he recommended overlapping the corners. So after he said something and I thought about it a little bit more, he's right, and that's, even though I do think it's overkill, I'm still going to overlap the corners, and I think it'll look good in the long run too. So I'll feel better about it. Might as well just do it. Better safe than sorry. So this build will be slightly different than how the 1100 was. It's a little bit more complicated, but not bad. So I'm gonna make these cuts, and then I'll come back when the footprint is all set and you guys can take a look at it. We are back once again with everything cut, and kind of funny, I went through all of that to try to establish what my angle was going to be. And then I put him on the miter saw, and they were almost exactly 45. So what I ended up doing was I just cut 45s. So all that for kind of nothing. I just wasn't sure if 45 degrees would work. But I'm not going to say that I'm mad that it does. That makes this so much more simple. Anyway, so the angle ended up just being a 45 after all that. And now you can really get a feel for the footprint of the tank. Back again, guys, and I've got kind of like the bottom two plates cut and put together. Again, this gives you a really good idea of not only the footprint, but also how this is all going to lock together and be very strong. I really can't emphasize enough how much I feel like I'm overbuilding this, especially now that I look at it and it feels small. It's really overbuilt. I feel like I could have done this with 2x4s. But this, again, it's very tall, so the height alone makes it worth overbuilding, because when you get into the real tall stuff like this, that's when the water pressure really starts playing a large role in how strong the tank needs to be. So the pressure on the bottom is going to be pretty intense, and that's why it's probably best to overbuild this. So that's about all I'm gonna do for today. If I get any more done on this week, you will see more after this. I'm not sure if it'll be this week or not, so stay tuned. Hey guys, well, it's the next day, and I got a chance to do some more work on the tank. So I cut all the top and bottom plate of the walls, and I'm doing those at 22.5 to overlap the 45 degree angles that I've already done 2 layers of. So it's gonna be 3 bottom layers, super strong, way overkill again. And now I'm working on framing out the windows. So I'm sorry, I've got a decent amount done since I updated you guys last. So just framing this and trying to get the exact measurements for centering my window properly. Again, it's only complicated because I have 2 different size windows. Well, technically 3 different height windows. I just want to make sure that I've got this correct. Okay, we got this window out together. We're going to put it in place. Well, it's been not quite a week since I got started on the tank, and I've managed to get quite a bit done, a lot more than I expected. So my camera died when I was gonna show you guys how I built the first window wall. So I'm not sure how much of that I actually was able to get filmed, if any. But let me take you through how far I've gotten since then, because I've gotten some things done since that, and where I'm at right now for the next steps. So first I completed the side wall and then this window wall and locked them all together, and this got me a nice start to make the second replica of that a lot easier. So the other side went a lot quicker than this side did. Took some experimenting, and I really wanted to make sure I got the windows right. Again, I'm making these windows identical, but they are going to suit two different measurements, two different sizes of glass. So that complicated those a little bit. But anyway, before I get into what I'm doing next, I just wanted to take you guys over the framing and how I decided to go about doing this. There will be additional caps and framing over the top of this, but just to catch you guys up to speed so you can get a feel for how I've done it. The bottom layer, I overlapped the first ones in 45-degree angles the whole way around, and then I came back over for a second layer of 2x6s with 45-degree angles in the opposite direction. So they overlap really nicely, and that's really the best way to lock in framing like this, to make it strong and all work together. So the first two bottom layers are overlapped in 45-degree angles, and and that's how they lock together. Now the walls themselves are built with 22-degree angles, and those sit on top of the overlapping 45s. So now we got three different styles of overlapping, kind of, or three different patterns basically, to avoid having any spots or any weak points in these joints. And then I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with this here, with this corner, and then the wedge idea came to me, and that just made the most sense. Those wedges are really simple, and they give me the ability to really lock in these walls together, because this seam here, this is what everyone should worry about, is this seam here. Very important. This has plenty to lock onto, so there's no chance that any separation would ever go on here. But if this isn't done correctly, you do risk some form of separation on your seam, so you really want to lock all that in as good as possible. Other than that, everything is pretty straightforward for the window. Now, mind you, the complications of the window and the floor are these four need to be as perfectly in line as possible, as well as the rest of the wall, and it could not be built all at once because I had overlapping layers on the bottom. So that was something I was constantly putting a square to and making sure that that is going to be as flat as I can get it, at least as perfect as I can get it with rough lumber like this. Now, when I duplicated the other side, I kind of breezed through it like, oh, this is easy now, no problem. But I did make a mistake, and I want to point it out to you guys here. It was a really stupid small mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. All I had to do was, before I screwed this up this way, I just had to move it over a little bit. And I wasn't paying attention when I screwed it together, and it must have shifted or something on me. So I lost, well, I mean, that's over 1/4 of an inch. So I'm not happy about that. I think in the great scheme of things it's not going to matter, because the plywood is going to make up for those corners, but I don't love that. I might do something with wedges just to try to fill that in a little bit. By the time I noticed it, I had come too far, and all this was locked in, and it all needed to be done in a certain order to lock it together properly, and I had just come so far there was no way I was going to take it apart to move that. So stupid little mistake, I just wasn't paying attention, and that made for a bad spot for the seam. But again, I will find a way to fill that, or make it so I do not have to worry about a bad seam like that. But again, the back wall to the side wall seam is a no-brainer. Very simple and very, very strong. So before I put the front wall on, I figured I would show you guys here the overlapping 45s. This is something I did not do on the 1100. It was not really necessary. Now, do I think it's necessary on this build? Probably not, but it is just a little extra assurance for me. One less thing to worry about. But again, probably overkill. Probably overkill for this. So that is it for this video, this week's video. Guys, got a lot done. I can't believe how much got done in the first week, so really coming along. Actually, I've got more done than you've seen in this video, but wait till the next video. Got a lot of progress. It's crazy how fast this tank is coming along, so please stay tuned for the next video. Don't forget, again, to comment, like, and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys in that next video.